This is the Orange Zone, sponsored by Apex Entertainment.
All right, I'm joined today by Doug Scott, the Chief Strategy Officer at Network, the sports management and marketing agency that recently signed Syracuse football head coach Fran Brown. Doug, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to join us all the way from Los Angeles. We'll get into it here in a second.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. So I just wanted to get started and ask you, I think this is sort of an abstract concept for college football fans and for sports fans in general, right? A head coach signing to his own sort of agency in a way. Walk me through what would be the benefits for a guy like Fran Brown to sign with an agency like Network?
Oh, look, in today's sports environment, it's really about establishing your presence, right? What are you known for? What is your brand about? Who are you? And I think today, where athletes are the new influencers, right? Coaches, if you will, are kind of the new managers. Coaches are they're just like a manager for a band. They're the ones that are really dealing day to day. And with as competitive as recruitment is right now, by elevating your presence in the world of sports with young high school athletes that are looking to figure out what path is best suited for them to go play for a coach who really is going to help them foster and develop their career, as well as in a portal environment where you have athletes that are shifting schools, right? A large consideration is who's the coach. So the more that we can build the visibility of Coach Brown off the field, just as much as he's building the success of the team on the field, that becomes another data point when an athlete is making a decision as to where they want to go play.
And you mentioned it, the transfer portal and recruiting, two things that Brown has really excelled in even before he came to Syracuse. So I guess that leads me into my next question, which is what made Brown so desirable for you guys to want to go out there and make him really the first head coach that you guys have signed?
It's really his dynamic personality. I mean, he's down to earth. He cares. He rolls up his sleeves. I've seen him interact with the athletes themselves, with the families of the athletes. He came highly recommended through an old friend of mine, David Falk, who also a very big presence up at the Syracuse campus and involved in the world of sport. And there are a lot of coaches out there that are unapproachable because they are head coaches, and therefore it's the coach's office. And to see a young coach like Fran really in a tumultuous time in the wild, wild west of college football, as we like to call it, right? Really be that accessible and have a personality and a philosophy that Fran has became attractive. I've been in the marketing business now for 30 some odd years of my career. And it is about branding and making sure that Coach Brown's brand DNA aligns with national brands that may want to partner with him. And that's really, to me, the holy grail here is how do we start to get Fran as the face of or spokesperson for national brands that then further creates a halo for Syracuse as well as the head coach there. So, I don't know that we're going deep into the marketing plans for coaches. I can tell you that was not necessarily part of our playbook in terms of building our marketing agency, but the opportunity arose and we took advantage of it.
And you touched on it a little bit there, but I guess just with this partnership, right? Brown's desirable to you guys for a variety of reasons, but what exactly does this entail? What are you guys then offering him to say, hey, here's what we can do for you. Here's the team that we can build around you?
Oh, look, the first thing that it entails is defining Coach Brown as a man, right? As a coach. What is his tone? What is his voice? What is his key messages? He has DART as part of his overall philosophy. So it gave us a foundation to start with. in terms of how he kind of utilizes that amongst his players. And then coming off of that, what is his visual language, right? And we all, if you will, we all have a brand that we and a reputation that we carry in the marketplace. You as a journalist, right, in terms of what you deliver and the fans and the audience that you have that follows you, that listens to you. So, what we want to do is we want to build that audience for Coach Brown. Once we establish that brand and we develop his logo, which he unveiled at the spring game, which kind of captures the Dart visual and the FB relative to that initial. We then want to push that out further in terms of the brands that he's going to align with. So now we're saying, okay, is he a Beats or a Bose guy? Is he a import or local automotive brand relative to a national brand, right? So we all have our own brand DNA, if you will, that we want to look to align him with. Then it's about building his social presence. He has a social presence out there. We have to increase that because that owned audience really is what we want to create for him. And then there's the content, voice, right? Not so much how he speaks, but more so what he says and where he has a presence. So, is there a pregame podcast that we're going to start to do, right? Outside of the postgame press conferences that he does, right? What else is he communicating within the community off season and on season? And then even his community work, right? He's very active, in terms of his faith and his family and his community. And we want to give back there, and we want to really build that presence. So what is the legacy that Coach Brown is going to leave, when at some point he decides to retire and, hang up those cleats, and really pursue that. And he's very early, in my view, in his career path right now. So it's about laying that foundation and that groundwork that we can build off of as he progresses.
And you mentioned building that personal brand, right? What exactly does that entail on your end for any college head coach, right? At the Power Four level, they're so ingrained with their team and their school. So what is sort of building them up personally? How does that look a little different?
Oh, look, I mean, everyone has their own interests, their own passions, their own story. So it's unlocking that narrative. Fran coming from Camden, New Jersey. Camden is a pretty rough town, relative to the community there. What his dreams were in terms of pursuing career wise. His then the time at Georgia, as you said, is one of the top recruiters in the country, and really his desire to go out there and take a head coach job. And he moved from the South to the North, to the ACC conference, and to a school that wasn't very well known as a football school as much as a basketball school, despite the fact that Syracuse has some great NFL alum that have come out of there. And it was an opportunity for him to really rebuild a program, right? And to roll up his sleeves and put in place the fundamental building blocks to be able to make Syracuse a competitive, football school. And I think what you saw with a 10-3 record last year, and as you mentioned earlier, the recruits that he's got coming in, and even the work that he did with Kyle McCord, which was evident, relative to the draft and a lot of the buzz that Kyle had. That's all part of his story. So, it's evolving that over time, but making sure that we're staying true to his authenticity and who he is. Too many times when athletes or individuals build their brand, they borrow equity from other things that may be of interest to an audience, right? Or they associate themselves with another brand to borrow that brand's reach and that equity. And I think with Fran, Fran knows who he is. He's true to himself. He doesn't try and be somebody that he's not, and he's very comfortable in where he is in life. He aspires to achieve more, right? And he's a winner. and he's going to do everything he can do to win, right? But do it in a way that Fran knows. And I think that's what really is at least in my experience with him to date. That's what's really attracting a lot of these young athletes that have Syracuse in their consideration set from a recruitment standpoint, or as we've seen with this portal right now, with I think the 5 or 6 top athletes that he's been able to recruit, through the portal, really is what's enabling him to get that winning team for the field.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned that he came highly recommended to you from David Falk, who is obviously very ingrained up here in the Syracuse community as well. Did you guys approach Fran's team, or was that something where he came to you?
So David and I go back, a good 20 plus years. And David was very excited about Coach Brown coming up to Syracuse. And after meeting with Coach Brown, in essence said, look, we need to build his brand. We need to build his presence off the field. We need to really unlock that. And, there's nobody better than David Falk. He's the GOAT when it comes to, if you will, athlete management and representation, and he really understands the importance of establishing a brand in the world of sport in today's culture. So he reached out and asked me whether I would go up and meet Coach Brown with him, and we went up there. I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, maybe last June, I want to say. I'd have to really look at the dates, but immediately I could feel the energy and the passion. Fran was on a mission. He knew exactly what he needed to achieve, and he went out there and he did it. And we could not be more excited to be working with him and partnering with him to really build that, again, off-field brand and presence for him.
Now, of course, you mentioned the personal branding, and it's obviously beneficial to him in that sense. But in terms of the school, right, since he is an employee of Syracuse University, it is a unique situation that I think fans are a little bit confused about and looking for some explanation on. What is the reaction that you've seen from a Syracuse or any school, really, when the coach wants to sort of branch off and do this for themselves? Were they, open to it and easy to work with?
Oh, look, I don't know that it's a unique situation in that, many coaches out there um, have built themselves a brand off the back of the school. If you look at Coach Saban, right? I mean, he's now in the broadcast booth, and there's articles out there talking about how he's going to be $1 billion brand based on the car dealerships he's getting involved with, and the commercial aspect of leveraging his brand. And there's other coaches, again, staying on the Alabama theme, Bear Bryant, right, who made houndstooth cool, right? So, I think it's all a question of the media platform that they take advantage of. Coach Belichick, UNC now, obviously built his brand off many Super Bowl wins and his success in the NFL, and that's creating a halo for UNC, making them a contender in the world of football. Which, again, you're talking about a university that was best known for its basketball prowess in terms of college sports. So I think what you really have here is a coach who recognizes the importance of his presence both on and off the field. And my view is Syracuse is going to be the benefactor of him taking the diligence and undertaking the process to define who he is, and really look to dare I say commercialize that as he goes forward for both his interest and for the interest of the school. So it doesn't change anything for what he has to do on the field. It doesn't change anything for that, the Syracuse S that he dons when he gets on that field, and everything that he's doing to put that W in the into the column that's necessary every week during the season. But I do think you're going to start to see more coaches begin to kind of follow suit and better understand what is their marketing strategy. Even when they do press conferences, right? There's marketing that's happening in that press conference relative to that communication and the visibility and the talkability that they're getting, from College Game Day and Sports Center and a lot of the other media outlets that are covering not only the players and the games, but also the coaches.
Yeah, certainly seems only beneficial to the schools like you mentioned. And I think Syracuse has already reaped some of the benefits of that, like you touched on earlier, putting them back in that national conversation when the football program necessarily wasn't in years prior. But just to wrap up with you here, I know you already mentioned it, that this is going to be something that more coaches look into, right? That this is going to be sort of the way that head coaches go moving forward. Are you guys seeing, increased interest from coaches, especially in this changing world of the transfer portal and NIL and everything that college athletics is? Do coaches want to have more of a voice really on those topics?
Well, look, I think that what you're seeing is the entry of, in the case of Mike Vick, for instance, at Norfolk State, right? Or Mr. Bibby at Sacramento State, both of which are clients of ours in different realms. We do some work with Sacramento State at the university level, and we work very closely with Mike on some of his off field initiatives outside of broadcasting as well, more on the marketing front. I think you're seeing this rise of this front office, right? And the front office and the coaching office, if you will, is attracting former players, is attracting current players, which is a magnetism, right? Because most recently with Shaquille O'Neal announcing that he's becoming the general manager of Sacramento State, what young basketball athlete is not going to want to go have the opportunity to play for Shaq, right? And be part of this new environment that's being created. And case in point, Shaquille O'Neal is a brand, right? So, I do think that it's becoming part of the overall marketing mix, or part of the overall strategy that is playing out, because every school is a brand. That Syracuse S carries with it a certain value, right? If that is your alma mater, you wear it proudly, right? It's on the bumper of your car. It's on the frame of your license plate. It's on your sweater that you wear to game day, right? You're orange through and through. And that branding plays through to the players, right? That branding plays through to the coaches. That branding plays through to your kids and your kids' kids, your grandkids, especially in a lot of cases where college attendance is generational. So the more that we can strengthen the association of the athletes and the coaches and the institutional aspect of college sports, right, the stronger the value that's going to get created for the school. So I do believe that it will become part of the playbook for schools going forward, is really looking not necessarily at every coach as a brand, because keep in mind, every athlete is not necessarily a brand. And many athletes have gone out there to build brands, Tom Brady with TB12. And I would say that TB12 is not Jumpman relative to what Michael Jordan was able to build, during his basketball career. And they even carried further into all forms of culture, whether it's wearing Air Jordan on a golf course, or Air Jordan in streetwear and hip hop, right? That brand has cut through a lot of different cultural touch points. I think that the idea of marketing and a marketing playbook for your coach and for your coaching staff is going to become part of the overall strategy for any school moving forward.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you taking the time. This is Doug Scott, again, Chief Strategy Officer at Network, the agency that Syracuse football head coach recently partnered with. Thank you for giving us some insight into really what that partnership entails.
Thank you.